A very warm welcome to all you wonderful listeners of Universal Mentors Association. It brings us great joy in welcoming another Talk Ed series, the Talking Education series here on YouTube, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook Live. Today, the one of the most important topics that we're discussing is talking about implementation of national education policy in schools. And I would like to welcome all the amazing speakers, joining us on this amazing panel. All the speakers here are the recipients of the Principal of the Year award that would be given to them on the 8th of July in Delhi. So all these principals have been shortlisted amongst the top thousand odd applications that we have received, and we have shortlisted close to 100 profiles of them. And having said that, you know you're really lucky to listen to some of the stalwarts of the education, and I'll not take another second away from you. Let me just quickly introduce the panel to you. We have with us Ms. Namrata Sinha, who's the senior psychologist and researcher from Brain Wonders, who's also powering this amazing session for Universal Mentors Association. I would like to welcome Namrata ma'am for joining us as one of the most amazing moderators of this session. I would also like to welcome Ms. Pooja Madan, who's the principal of Indus Valley Public School. She'll be joining us shortly. Mr. Virat V. Giri, who's the principal of Sanjay Godawat International School. Sir, welcome. Dr. Rajesh Karkun, who's the principal of Mount Litra Z School. Uh, you know, the next is a very, very familiar face, Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya, who's the principal of Manav Rachna International School. Welcome, ma'am. It's always good to hear from you. Uh,
Thank you
then
so
we
much.
have Ms. Pradna Adling Basude, who's the principal of New Wisdom International School. Welcome, ma'am. Mr. Vipin Kumar Tyagi, who's the principal of Kendriya Vidyalaya, uh, and Dr. Anju Mehrotra, who's the principal of Kalka Public School, Delhi. So, welcome to all the stalwarts of this amazing, fraternity called education. And we would love to congratulate you on the behalf of the complete fraternity on receiving, on being the top 100 principals of the country. Welcome you all. And without further ado, I would ask Namrata ma'am to take this amazing session away. Thank you so much and have a wonderful session.
Thank you, Mr. Kalati, for such a wonderful introduction and of course for allowing me to be present among such a wonderful panel. Good evening, everyone. Welcome today to the fifth Talk Ed series powered by Brain Wonders. Today, we will be joined by six insightful panelists from the Indian education industry who will share their inputs on today's topic, implementing national education policy, the way forward. It has been 2 years since National Education Policy 2020 has been presented and it has yet to come into full force. Today's session is thus going to deconstruct and discuss the scenario and aims to set things in motion. Without further ado, let me invite the first panelist of today, Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya. As a serving principal of Manav Rachna International School, she is an enigma in the education sector since 20 years, of which 12 years she has contributed as a principal. She has also been a columnist and a motivational speaker in a national and international platforms, CBSE master trainer, a classical singer, and receiver of many awards for her contribution in the field of education. So, Dr. Bhattacharya, let me present to you two questions because I feel with the years of expertise you hold, these two pertinent burning questions are right up your alley. So I'll present both of them and then you can take them as you feel is all right. So first is what are the key areas which has been focused on in the updates done on National Education Policy 2020? And the second question is how has national education, especially with the use of cultural language, impacted the education system?
Is the connectivity a issue from my side? Uh, Should I go ahead? Okay. Okay, thank you so much for first
Hello,
of
good
all
evening,
giving us the
everyone.
honor. Yeah, we are there. Good evening, ma'am. Once again, I would like to thank you to honor us. I mean, to select us to be honored, and we are really, really, I would say, privileged to be part of such a wonderful gathering. To talk about the the NEP, the National Education Policy 2020. Beautiful questions. In fact, when you were putting the questions, we felt that every question is so very important. And once again, I would like to thank you for organizing such seminars, because we can reach out to so many people, those who are already knowing it and those who do not have a very clear idea about NEP. Such discussions are really, really COVID and NEP 2020 came all together, and I think it was such a boon that we could utilize the points of the NEP sitting at home. And amongst the many things that has come, I would first stress on the digitization that NEP stresses on. Yeah, am I having connectivity issue? Can someone respond? Okay. So with the many, in fact, with the many points, the basic idea is to ensure that 100% gross enrollment can be done, should be done by 2030. And I think we leaders, the way we are working, the educators like you all, the way we are working together, I think we will be able to reach the target. So to come back to the first point that I was saying is the digitization. And I think the COVID situation really forced us to ensure that we follow NEP 2020 when digitization came in. Because that is the platform which we all use, the education fraternity used it, and the system kept going because of the digitization that NEP stressed on and that we also embrace it. The paradigm shift that the teachers did while we were indoors, I think that was amazing. And as an educator, core educator, I would say, I think we really are COVID warriors. This was something which was stressed on NEP in the NEP 2020. Another very important thing, I will not go step by step, but I would definitely go important wise. I feel the best thing that could have happened is the subject choice of the children, which has now become so very flexible that child can choose any subject that he desires. We will definitely have lots of logistic problems in this because the faculty, the infrastructure, we need to work on that. However, this choice will now ensure that a child fares well in the examination, because ultimately, though we know assessment is not the main thing, however, assessment is a card which gives an entry to a child. And such assessments can be really dealt well if a child finds interest in the subject rather than imposing the subjects on him. So the NEP 2020, where the flexibility of the subjects is considered, I think that's an amazing thing that could have happened. I will be a little quick. The other thing is, if I talk of higher studies, the scores that the child can now keep, the credit that he can keep, the dropouts that we initially thought that these are dropouts and therefore can't enter. So these policies where a child, if required, can take a gap and maybe try something else and then again come back using his credit is something amazing that has happened. To talk of higher education, MPhil is gone and now direct PhD. I think many of us will benefit. Now to come back to the school again, to talk of the structure. Initially what we had was 10 plus 2. Now it's a little different, where the emphasis is on early years education, which is again an amazing thing that has happened. Many progressive schools like us, we've been already doing it. We have already, since many years, most of the schools in the cities are having the toddlers or the early year stages, that is nursery, KG, or toddlers, whichever way we give the nomenclature. However, this was not a compulsory thing, and therefore parents at many different parts were not aware, and therefore they were waiting for the child to be only 5 years and then go ahead. I think that's an amazing thing that has happened, that early years has been made compulsory, and I'm sure now most of the schools will go ahead and have already started it. To talk about the language part again is something amazing that has happened, that we are respecting our own language, the mother tongue. Now, there are questions that might come. Then, do we teach in our mother tongue in our English medium school? Because we send our children to be global citizens. So, how do we get back if we are teaching in our own language? Of course, we are now very much clear about it. There is no compulsion. However, if a parent or a child demands, the school needs to ensure that the school gives it. So these are the few things that we, and the vocational training is the vocational subjects, the inclusive education, which is my next question. These are again amazing things that has happened. The most important thing is the teachers training. I think we leaders will have to ensure that the training of the teachers are done to ensure that they are 21st century, having that skill of the 21st century teachers, because we are dealing with the 21st century students. These are just wanted to highlight quickly, because I'm sure lots of the speakers are there. They will have to also, they will be sharing their ideas, and it will be a pleasure. Do I deal with the second question in one go, or you will ask me again to come back?
I will just reiterate it right now as well. So, for our audiences, so the second question, which as you also mentioned is one of the key updates in your first response. The second question is, how has the NEP addressed the challenges of inclusive education, especially with the use of counseling?
Like I just gave a glimpse. I think this is an amazing thing that has happened. Frankly speaking, NEP 2020, when it came, as I mentioned before, most of the progressive schools in the cities, or maybe wherever possible, we did start inclusive education because CBSE had included this. And now that NEP 2020 says, I think no school will deny. And this is once again a wonderful thing that has happened, a very, very progressive thought. Where will these children go? Why should we send just slight differentiation from the normal? Why should we send them to those special schools where he will not have a definite curriculum? So, including such children who are not as lucky as everyone, I think we educators get a wonderful satisfaction when we include such children in the mainstream education, where they learn. It's a peer learning goes in, you see, peer learning. Those children who are not as unlucky, I would say, they also learn. They are grateful to the Almighty, they are grateful to their parents, they are grateful to the teachers, that they are having absolutely things as per requirement. So they are there to help the children. At the same time, those children who are really so special to us, they also get the opportunity, because they have they should get everything that any other child gets. It's a thing that has to be given to them, and I think that's an amazing thing that has happened. But definitely, we school management, leaders, teachers, we need to understand that we as educators need to upgrade ourselves once again to ensure that we can deal with such children. The infrastructure may be required, where management will have to ensure that they are sufficient enough. There are SEN in most of the schools these days, where we really have equipments, we have teachers, special educators, and also train the normal teachers to deal with certain situations and to deal in the normal level. So how to give them? We have immense number of workshops in our schools. We exchange workshops with different schools, so that we all are on the same track to ensure that not only admission is done, but these children really benefit with the mainstream education. That's what I would want to say. And that's something wonderful that NEP 2020 has emphasized on. Thank you so much. I think you're muted.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhattacharya. I really, really like how you have summarized a lot of key updates where, a lot of other panelists will now be elaborating upon very soon in their interactions. And yes, I think how you mentioned that about how the curriculum itself was something that was not accessible to a certain part of our population, certain part of a very brilliant population, right? It was dividing the country, the resources, the kind of growth that these people or these students who could have contributed, now they'll be gaining access to that curriculum. And not only that, because at the end, education is not something that you learn via a book in a classroom. It is something that you learn from each other, right? So a lot of other students and a lot of teachers as well will be gaining a lot of experiences, which I'm sure will benefit all of us here cumulatively. So thank you for such wonderful inputs.
Thank you.
With
It's a
that,
pleasure. It's a pleasure to be with such educationists. As we know, ma'am, also, I mean, there are so many educationists which we keep meeting, but thank you so much for giving us such platforms, where we can express and reach out to many.
most welcome, ma'am. Now we will be moving to Professor Pradnya Adling Bansude. She's a current principal leading the new Wisdom International School. Ma'am, can we have you on the screen? Pradnya, ma'am, can we have you on the screen?
Yes, actually,
Pradnya, ma'am?
am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are very much audible.
Yeah, actually,
Yes,
I
ma'am,
have
we are
a
able to see
network
you as well
issue.
now.
So, can I keep my camera?
Ma'am, currently we are able to see
Yeah,
you
you can
as
see
well
me,
as
right?
hear you.
Yeah, so very good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, so until and unless I can be, I mean, I have network good, I can keep my camera on. So, yeah, good
Sure,
evening,
ma'am.
everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Namrata to give me this opportunity and being a part of this great educationalist with this. So my topic was given as do we really
I'll,
implement the technology and the NEP 2020 can run it smoothly with the remote learning. So,
yes,
as
ma'am,
we all
I'll
know
reiterate
that
the top.
India,
Sure, ma'am, continue.
sorry,
Yes, ma'am, please
yeah,
continue.
I guess, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. So, yes, my topic is like, can we run this NEP 2020 as a remote learning? So, as we all have gone through this pandemic, which was a crucial time, and being educationalists and even educators or the leaders, we have, I mean, yeah, many CBC schools have gone for the e-learning platforms and they were used to with that. But this pandemic, which is a huge crucial time where each and every school has opted for the technology, they got trained, and the teachers are being trained by the leaders. So yeah, I would like to say yes, this NEP 2020 can be learn it very smoothly with the remote learning. Before that, we can have the, as Dr. Suchitra ma'am said, that trainings and workshops are very well needed to run this very smoothly. So multiple ways are included over there. We can go for online ways or technology based. So that doesn't mean like offline will not work. Offline mode is always needed, I could say, but online can be implemented if we do it and implement it with the very structural ways. So here, leaders and we educators have to work to implement with these technology based aids, what I would like to say.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Uh, Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. I think you have put it forward very smartly about how it is, how there are ways it has already been done in certain aspects where remote learning is being taking place and the students are already benefiting from what NEP has to provide. However, it is not something that it is not something as simple as just bringing technology at a particular location. It is more to do with understanding and using that technology right, and for that we also need to do our part to ensure that we keep ourselves upskilled, trained to move forward in that particular direction. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your inputs. Now we have Virat V. Giri. He is an expert in MBA processes and working as a principal since the last 10 years, including Sanjay Ghorawat Polytechnic in Kolhapur, where he is currently located. He has a total work experience of 17 years in the education sectors, and this has been in various capacities. So, given that This is the kind of a multidimensional person that I'm talking to. Sir, for you, the question that I would like to put forward is NEP 2020 talks about subject specializations at an early age and introduction of vocational subjects in the middle school. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on this?
Okay. First of all, thank you, Universal Mentor Association, for this connection, and thank you for selecting me as a Principal of the Year. And I was hearing Suchitra ma'am and Pradna ma'am. Very rightly said by Suchitra ma'am, if you see the 10 major outcome of an national education policy, what we are expecting from national education policy, that is access to the everyone, equity and inclusion. We are considering bringing back 2 crore out of school children, and our focus is also to attain some SDG goals. We are focusing on foundation literacy and numeracy. We are focusing on 21st century skill, that in teaching, learning, and assessment. Resource sharing is another problem where school complex concept is coming up. Effective governance, that is in separation of powers and common norms. Again, there is one problem of overcoming the language barrier in the learning. Suchitra ma'am already talked about that issue, and common standards for public and private schools. These are the issues, what are expected outcome of the national education policy. And if you go through the structure 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, this structure is coming up, where from 6th standard we are thinking to start the vocational education to the school students, and where the main problem will come while implementing to the school principal, from where to bring the resources for the vocational education. May it be a local need of the area. If we talk about my area, where Kolhapur, where vocational education like carpenter, painters, such kind of new courses will be coming up. And if you go for the higher education, for the next level, that is from 8, 9, sorry, 9, 10, 11, 12, where more vocational education will be provided to students from standard 9, 10, 11, 12. If you see the current structure, where after completing 10 standard, students go for vocational education in the form of ITR or in the form of polytechnic. But I don't know what will be the structure after the 10th education. Now we are thinking of only the 12th board examination, and after completing 10th education, where student will go. But we are thinking to start vocational education at the early age, and we are giving subject specialization at early age. That is the concept of major minor, which is in foreign universities, is also introducing, where student will learn some major subject, and at the same time he will start studying some minor subject. At the early age, vocational education is introduced, and the skill mission of the government of India, where we are expecting the student will gain some skill at the early age. And if we compare with the national skill quality framework, from level 1 to level 10, if we start from level 1 to level 10 to the PhD, after 10th, we are thinking to give them level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, such kind of skill framework we are planning to give in the national education policy. But this is just a framework. This is a framework provided by central government to all the state government, and it is up to the state government how they will implement the language barrier, which about Suchitra madam was talking already, that regional languages are going to introduce till 5th standard. NEP says that start teaching in mother tongue language or local languages. I don't know what will be the future, but the steps which are taken in the NEP 2020 will help to India become superpower, the new generation which will be going through this education. And the main focus of the vocational education, starting from 6th to 7th standard, is to give the skills to the student, which we are missing. Again, one another point is mentioned, which I want to highlight, is the bag-free school days. When the day when student need not to take their school back to the schools, such kind of innovative concepts are also introduced in this national education policy. To conclude, I can say that the structure which is coming up, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, and introduction of vocational courses from vocational subjects from 6th standard will surely going to help to gain a skill which we are expecting at the end of any course or any outcome of the education. So I think this is a very positive move by national education policy to introduction of vocational subjects and specialization subjects in the form of major and minor at the early age of the education. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your very, very well-researched inputs, if I could say, because I could see that you have gained a lot of examples from what already exists and how the system outside NEPs has been working, and how the certain elements of it is something that we are trying to adopt, via the NEP 2020 framework. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, we now move on to Dr. Anju Mehrotra. She identifies as an administrator, resource person, philanthropist, and visionary who is currently serving as the principal and director of Kalka Group of Institutions. So, ma'am, welcome to the session.
Welcome.
So, ma'am, we have one very, very, very important question lined up for you, and I'm pretty sure you are the right person for this. What will be the key factors that will influence the seamless integration of NEP 2020?
I think you may have to come up your question once again. I couldn't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll just repeat it. So the question is, what will be the key factors that will influence the seamless integration of NEP 2020?
Oh, great, great. See, NEP has come up, luckily when we all were experiencing a small virus, which has really created a very big difference in the whole education system, and the complete dynamics of our education system, has changed, right? This small virus, though it was considered as very small, but when we talk about the kind of differences, the kind of changes that have come up, they are, I must say, they are very, very big in terms of the complete system. The overhauling in the system has taken place. So what I believe is that fortunately or unfortunately, when this particular the virus came, it did not actually broke our system, our education system, but in fact it exposed the broken education system. Our education system had actually become a kind of very, very stagnant, and there was a lot of scope to bring about the changes as far as the 21st century say skills are concerned and the present generation is concerned. So I must say that it was the nature's, we can say, the fortune, the blessing which was showered on us, right, in a way that we all very, very smoothly we shifted from, say, offline mode to online mode. The technology perhaps would have taken decades to really be implemented the way we have started implementing now, and this switchover was so smooth and so rapid and so fast, and the transition, I mean, we never even realized that how we switched over, and how this online, say, the webinars and the teaching and the learning and everything started happening. So actually, if we see, the learning never stopped, teaching continued. So this, and we, the teachers who used to feel that once a teacher, always a teacher, we used to feel that yes, we have reached at a particular pinnacle, but suddenly we realized that suddenly we became the learners, and something that started really creeping into all of us, that there is a long way to go, and we all have to learn so much when it comes to technology, right? And now the challenge came to the teachers, especially because the children are more tech savvy, right? And they know when it comes to technology and the implementation, right, the other things. Perhaps when we see this VUCA world, the negative world, I feel that the children are more aware of certain things than even the teachers and the educators. So, and luckily, that was the time when our National Education Policy 2020 came in, and that is something a very, very long awaited and a dynamic document, which, of course, the previous documents have also come up, but they have never been so much talked about earlier. They have never been discussed so much earlier. So definitely there is something, which we really need to know. And the need of the hour is that we start implementing this document, because this is not something what the government is going to do. This is something we, the educators, only have to implement. We have to put forward, a step ahead, and then see how it can seamlessly be incorporated into our present existing system. I would say here that there are lots and lots of things in this NEP which have actually been already say experienced and implemented by many of the schools, but there is something which is yet to be implemented, but we need to take this document very, very seriously. So I say that first shift what is required is to change our attitude and to come up, to see that that negative VUCA world is not existing, and we need to shift to the positive VUCA world that talks about versatility, that talks about understanding, that talks about 5 basic C's of our 21st century skills, right? Like communication, creativity, commitment, how we can really come up with all this. And above all, the most important is the adaptability. So we need to adapt ourselves, to the existing environment. And once we feel that the employability skills are very much existing, once we feel and realize that, there is this particular document, thing, which has to be implemented as a policy. In fact, a part of our life, because these are the basic skills, and those kind of skills wherein, as we were just talking about, Mr. Giri was also mentioning that we need to expose our children, uh, to what, to their culture, to their basic linguistic skills. The purpose of introducing the regional language was this only, that the children, gradually we see that the children, they have lost, the connect with their own mother tongue even, right? So that was the basic reason, that they must connect to their own culture. We need to promote, and to highlight our own basic cultures, right?
Ma'am, we lost
Day
your
of
audio.
our foundation and teaching, has to be in their mother tongue. When it comes to English, they are not. This policy is not undermining the role of English as an international language. We should not say it this way. We should not believe in that way. English is something, once the children are through, they reach at a particular age, at a particular level. This is something what they will be able to lead to learn, just by communicating with each other, just by having conversation, and by the dialogue skills as well. So now the point arises that we have to bring about this, into the existing system, and it should be again seamless. Though the hurdles would be there, I would not say that it will be just a flawless. The hurdles would certainly be there, because we are transacting the word, from, say, local to, we are making it, to local to global. So when we are creating our global citizens, they need to first know and connect with their local system as well. They need to talk about their local areas. They need to touch and understand about their local facts, and the existing challenges and the problems, and then we can connect them, how they can enter into the global world as well. So we are into the process of preparing the global citizens, but we should not forget that the roots are very important, the values are very important. Everything would ultimately rest on the foundation that we are going to lay in the initial days, in the foundational years. And that is why we need to have that foundational numeracy and that linguistic quality. Because once we realize that they have the control, they have the strong, say, foundation of their language, and their numbers, basically. The numbers would again not be just the numbers, the rational numbers or the natural numbers. The numbers, when we say, it is basically their mental skills, their reasoning skills. They should be able to reason out. They should be more resilient, towards their life, because the ultimate purpose of education is to prepare the children for life. So education is not simply 3 hours. Education is beyond that. We need to create the resilient citizens, So we all have to understand the basic thing that ना किसी रहबर से ना किसी रहगुजर से, ये तो अपने पाँव का कांटा है जनाब, खुद ही से निकलेगा. So we all ourselves, we have to put in the efforts. We cannot be dependent on anybody else. So the challenge, in fact, is more on the shoulders of the educators, because they need to compete with the present generation who is tech savvy, who has got everything, in their hand. In just their fist, they are holding one small device that gives them each kind of information. Now, the educators, the teachers should go in the classrooms with something very, very different, with something more challenging, with something, which the children are not able to get in that device. And that is something what is called as values. So we need to connect everything with values. And this is what our NEP says, that these skills are very important. And the child should be able to hone those skills which are going to help him, later in his life. So his employability skills, the vocationalization of education, all these things we need to connect. But though the road is not that smooth, it's going to be harsh. Ups and downs would be there, but we all have to face it, because this is some which is a living document. It's a dynamic document, and we will be able to do it. And I'm sure with the educators around, if you have such beautiful panelists here, the educators coming up, we all join hands and we will be able to make a difference. So we need to be the change we really want to see. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think what you have put forward is a comprehensive aspects of how student or child development has been taken care of by NEP. But if we want to change that is at a universal level, we need to start at the cellular level, and each and every one of us have to take our responsibilities very seriously. I mean, we have signed up for this, so why not? And I think I really like the point that you put forward, that when you're talking about linguistic and how it has embraced the fact that, even mother tongue or regional languages should be key focus areas in NEP 2020. Because as a counseling organization, we also work with a lot of children, and we work with a lot of children, in their career assessments. And they're wondering about what they should be doing with their future selves. Often what we realize is that there's a lot of people do prefer like a lot of people, children do prefer counseling sessions in English, whereas let's say the parents or teachers would prefer it in Hindi, or let's say a mother tongue. And I think in Indian education, or Indian students by default, or Indian population by default, has a global advantage of being a bilingual country at basic level, at least bilingual. I'll say, I'll not even say trilingual or multilingual, at least bilingual. And that is something that we need to take ahead. That is something we need to adapt, because it is not only just an additional skill. It is not something only which is something that has been proven to boost your brain development and cognitive functions and skills, like even memory, attention, listenings are
Yes.
related. It has been proven by science, right? It is proven by science that these things, the more languages you speak, the more cognitively sane you are. But it is a
Reasoning
part of your social identity. Yes, ma'am. So you're saying.
So you need to make them, the socially and emotionally strong. That is very
Yes,
important.
yes. Exactly. So it's a part of your social identity, it is a part of your national identity, it is who we are. So I really like how you have very smartly, taken that particular. I mean, NEP has wonderful benefits, but then I think that is one of the things that they have done very, 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 very right. That is my personal take on it. But I guess we need to move forward with, experts who are way more resourceful and way more talented than me. And thank you so much, ma'am, for such a wonderful insight and inputs that you have provided right now.
So much.
So, most welcome, ma'am. So, we'll wait for Pooja, ma'am. I would like to move forward with Vipin Kumar Tyagi. Sir, can we have you on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good evening to all. Thanks, Namrata.
Most welcome.
We
So,
are
good
working
evening,
in a
sir.
government sector. All others are working in private sector.
Yes.
That's why we are having other challenges. But we are the laboratory of all the government policies. That's why we have to implement first. and government.
And lucky people, sir. Vipin,
Huh?
sir. Lucky people, I said.
You may say lucky, or we may say that we have to implement it firstly.
Grass is always
And
greener.
yes,
Because
grass is always green on the other side.
we are using it as a previous years. We have started it to work on NEP. FLN we have implemented in our classes, primary classes. FLN test we have conducted. We have also conducted CBL test. We have also conducted survey. That's why we are doing it a lot in NEP on NEP. Actually, NEP, what is NEP 2020? It is a holistic development of the learners. That's why we are having a different view about the NEP. NEP, we are using 5 plus 3 plus 4. Previously, we were not having this one policy. Actually, private schools are having pre-primary classes, but we are not having pre-primary classes. We are starting with class 1. Now we have to also start with pre-primary classes as per government policy, and it is that we must start students with the pre-primary classes so that they may learn by playing, by doing. That's why they may learn their basic in their language. Actually, what is the use of this own language teaching? Because some are having, suppose Punjab, they are living in Punjab, they know Punjabi, and the students who are not knowing Hindi or they are not knowing English, they may not learn better in their Hindi or English. They may learn better in their own language. That's why own language policy is better for pre-primary classes and primary classes also. We are also having three language formula. We are using Hindi as a language also up to class 12th, English also parallelly up to class 12th, and we are also having Sanskrit formula. And in South area, we are also using local language as a language for the primary and primary classes. We may implement it also, so that student may learn in their own language betterly. Then about the holistic development, we are using extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Actually, others school are also using, but we are working on the holistic development of student. We were using the all-round development. The word for that. That's why we are having social science activities, science activities, and also sports activities parallelly. And we are having selection up to national level, regional level, national level, and also at the state level, and also at the government national level. That's why we are providing the platform to the students for all these activities so that they may get holistic development. Suppose a student is not good in the academic, he may also go to the sports, he may also go to the dance classes, he may also go to the other classes. And we have also implemented AI from 6 classes. We have also started vocational classes for the students from class 6. That's why we are implementing NEP step by step. All these steps of NEP, we are implementing it in class 1, 2, and 3. We have implemented FLN activities so that a student may learn better. They may also shift from rote learning to the learning and knowledge and also understanding. But that we have to shift from the rote learning, because previously we were using the rote learning, and that was the basic formula for that students, that they will learn without knowing the meaning of the words. And they passes the examination when they represent the rote learning on the copy and paper, and they forget it rapidly. But now we have shifted this from rote learning to the learning, permanent learning. So that's why FLN activities are implemented in our curriculum, and NEP has stressed more on the shifting of the rote learning to the learning, which may be converted into understanding and knowledge of the students. We are working on it, and our policies, as because after 1986, the education policies has been changes as NEP 2020 after a long gap. it has shifted, as madam has said, that we are having the selection of the subjects. As previously we were having science stream, that was bound that they have to learn physics, chemistry, bio, mathematics, or they have to select Hindi or English. They may not select history. If their student wants to have science, physics, and chemistry along with history, they may not select, because we were having a limit selection. But now they may select any of the subject which they want to select. So it has provided opportunities to the students to have more selection of the subjects which they want. And it has also shifted the vocational learning. Main threat is that that they may have a vocational classes if students want to learn, suppose electrician courses. So if the school is having the opportunities to have the electrical lab, or suppose any other lab, so the student may also go for the learning of this vocational subject in the school. So that was a main thrust of the NEP. And we are also having other that we have to shift it as a skill subject, that learn 21st century skills. We have to learn the artificial intelligence, design thinking, holistic health, and organic living also. So that was a shifting of the learning from vocational subjects, because AI is a new subject, and it is having more applications in the life. So that's why they are also stressing that student may learn about the AI, about the coding. They have also started coding also. And syllabus is also changed, because their CBSE and NCRT is also working on the reduce of the syllabus, so that student have a, may not be stressed about the more syllabus, and then they may think about the learning more, quality learning. They may think about it. So that's why we may say that NEP is a good attempt by the government of India, and we must support it, and we must do it for the student.
Thank you, sir. I think with what you have said is definitely very, very fresh for a lot of us, because I think you are not talking about what needs to be done. You are talking about what is realistically already being achieved, and that is something, if it can be even scaled across the rest of the institutions, I think that one small step is a giant leap for a mankind. So I think I'll go with that over here. So we have one more question for you, which I think, given that you have spent about almost 36 years of your experience in the education sector, in heading a lot of KVs. So there's one query that I have for you. The question is, what roles do counselors, parents, and teachers play in successful implementation of ensuring the holistic development of students using counseling aspects mentioned in NEP 2020?
Actually, counseling is the main, whether it is an NEP or not, but counseling is having a main importance in the life of a student. If you are a good counselor, you are a good teacher. Every teacher may be a good counselor, every principal may be a good counselor. If we are having counseling abilities, then we may make a easier life for the student. अगर हम बहुत अच्छे काउंसलर हैं तो बच्चे की सारी प्रॉब्लम तो हम सोल्व कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे होते हैं, आपने देखा होगा एग्जाम में बोलते हैं मैं तो भूल गया, जो मैं याद किया रात भर मैंने याद किया और सुबह मैं भूल गया। तो उसको अगर हम बहुत इजी वे में उसको समझाएंगे तो वो बच्चा उसको बहुत इजीली उसको कर सकता है। लेकिन बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट आपने 10th में देखे होंगे, 12th में भी देखे होंगे, आपने अपने घर में भी देखे होंगे, अपने दोस्त भी देखे होंगे, नॉर्मली वो क्या होते हैं, एग्जाम आया बहुत स्ट्रेस्ड हो गए, अननेसेसरी के स्ट्रेस हो गए। तो काउंसलिंग तो हमारा हर जगह बहुत बड़ा पार्ट प्ले करता है। आपने देखा होगा 11th में आते ही बच्चा जैसे ही उसके पास ऑप्शन होता है कि मुझे साइंस लेनी है, किस लिए? क्योंकि पड़ोसी ने साइंस ली। किस लिए लेनी? क्योंकि मेरे एक रिलेटिव ने साइंस लिया। तो ये जो हमारा ये होता है ना, हम बिना सोचे समझे हम कुछ भी ले लेते हैं, हम ये भी नहीं देखते मेरा इंटरेस्ट किस में ज्यादा है। तो उस समय भी आपकी बहुत जरूरत होती है एज ए काउंसलर, आप उसकी काउंसलिंग करें, नहीं बेटा आप ये भी लेकर पढ़ सकते हैं। बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे मेरी लाइफ में तो बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे आए हैं जिनको हमने काउंसलिंग किया और वो बच्चे आज IAS भी हैं, उनको लगा कि अरे सर आप उस समय आपने हमें गाइड किया और आपने बताया कि मैं आर्ट्स लेकर भी अच्छा पढ़ सकता हूँ, और उन्होंने आर्ट्स लेकर पढ़ा और उन्होंने टॉप किया और उसके बाद वाईएएस बन गए। तो ऐसी बहुत एग्जाम्पल भरे पड़े हैं जो हम एज ए काउंसलर पार्ट जो होता है हमारा, वो हमें करना चाहिए। हमें बच्चों को ज्यादा काउंसलिंग करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि ये काउंसलिंग करने के बाद कोई भी काम करा सकते हैं। हम उनसे ऐसा भी काम करा सकते हैं जो काम वो उनके बस का भी नहीं है, क्योंकि काउंसलर का एक ऐसा रोल होता है, एज ए मदर भी हम काउंसलर होते हैं, एज ए सिस्टर भी हम काउंसलर होते हैं, एज ए ब्रदर भी हम काउंसलर हो सकते हैं, एज ए टीचर हम सबसे ज्यादा काउंसलिंग करते हैं। तो अगर हम काउंसलिंग करते हैं तो एज ए काउंसलर हमारा बहुत बड़ा रोल होता है। इसीलिए हमारे टीचर्स को हम लोग ट्रेनिंग कराते हैं काउंसलिंग की, हम लोग सेशन उनके कराते हैं, ताकि वो क्लास में जाकर पढ़ाएं तो जरूर, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ उन बच्चों की काउंसलिंग भी करें। अगर किसी का मन पढ़ाई में नहीं लग रहा, हमें लगता है कि वो बच्चा नहीं पढ़ पा रहा है, हमने उसकी चीजें जानी कि किस कारण से नहीं पढ़ पा रहा है, और अगर हमें लगता है कि वो नहीं पढ़ पाएगा तो हम उसको गाइड कर सकते हैं कि ठीक है बेटा, आप नहीं इतना पढ़ सकते तो आप स्पोर्ट्स में अच्छा कर सकते हैं, आप देखिए उसमें कर सकते हैं, या किसी और चीज में आप अगर अच्छा कर सकते हैं तो आप वहां भी आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। तो बहुत सारे ऐसी चीजें होती है जो हम एज ए काउंसलर कर सकते हैं। So we must have a service, our services for the counselor. Our role is more important. That's why NEP is also stressed over the counseling process of the teachers. So we must do it, and I hope हमारे साथियों ने बहुत अच्छी अच्छी बातें बताई, हमारे प्रोफेसर जितने आपके पास पैनलिस्ट हैं बहुत अच्छी चीजें बताई। तो हम लोग तो यही कहेंगे कि all the principals have a great responsibility of the students. We may change their lives, we are changing, and as a counselor we must play an important role for their students.
थैंक यू सो मच सर। आई थिंक आपने एक बहुत अच्छी चीज हमारे सामने रखी, जहाँ पे आपने बोला कि काफी सारे स्टूडेंट्स जहाँ पे अगर हमने जब उनको करेक्ट टाइम पे गाइडेंस दिया गया तो उन्होंने जो भी सब्जेक्ट्स उन्होंने चूज किया उसके बेसिस पे वो लोग काफी आगे काफी सक्सेसफुल बन चुके हैं। बिकॉज आई थिंक अ लॉट ऑफ आवर एजुकेशन फोकस ड्यूरिंग आवर एजुकेशन ईयर्स इज ऑन गेटिंग रेडी फॉर अ करियर, गेटिंग रेडी फॉर अ गुड लाइफ, right? And it is often even we get students where people are like, just tell us which is a good career, and we always have to tell them that it is not about choosing a good career, it is being best about being the best in the career that you have chosen, a career that aligns with you. So on that note, I'll move forward for the last question of the evening with Pooja ma'am. Can we have you on the screen?
Yeah, thank you, Namrata. I'm sorry I cannot put on my camera. The reason is that there was a lot of network issue. So I'm just speaking out. My question today was, how has career assessment and guidance been integrated into new education policy? Right. So,
Yes.
in my opinion, the new education policy will be building character, creating holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with the key 21st century skills. Under that, our school has, been allotted this thing, Skill Hub, as a Skill Hub Center in Lucknow. It's the first school which has been recognized. Specific sets of skills and values across the domains will be identified for integration and incorporation at each stage of learning. Like from pre-primary level, we are going to teach them specific skills, under which I am, operating clubs on Saturdays, as Bagless Day was the main concept in NEP. So we have considered Saturday as the Bagless Day. Children are coming to school, and we are organizing various clubs by certified, trainers. And therefore, we have gone with the, garment, tie and dye, and origami club, or different skills we are operating upon. Curriculum content obviously will be reduced in each subject to its core essentials and make space for critical thinking in the children. This will help them to multiply their thoughts, and it will give a more holistic and inquiry based, discovery based, reasoning based, discussion based, analysis based learning. The mandated content will focus on key concepts, ideas, applications, and problem solving. Teaching and learning will be conducted in a more interactive way, if you talk about it, because children have the freedom to speak. They speak, they discuss with their teacher, and they come up with different queries. I have got children in my school who have started, one of the girl has written a book after all these clubs have started, and it is being sold on Amazon now. So children,
Alright.
it is being the children are able to develop concept. There was a special child who was only good at maths. He was so good that we worked upon him under bridge classes concept, and he came up with, if you sit with him and you clear some any of the concepts to him of maths, he'll develop a parallel concept for it. He's so intelligent. So like it's helping out, in a great manner. Vocational courses which are being introduced, coding and all, we are going through. Robotics lab we have put up. So we are trying to give because NEP basically has helped us out as principals, because it's become very easy for us. We are not forcing subjects upon children, or the streams upon the children from now. Okay, they have freedom to walk in whichever stream they want to go with, and that obviously helps in developing. That's all I would like to say, Namrata. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, ma'am, for your wonderful insights. They were definitely heard and widely appreciated. I think with that, we come to the close of today's session, where we have had an amazing discussion, which I'm pretty sure is going to set a lot of things in motion. We have discussed a few live examples. We have discussed a few possibilities. We have also, to some extent, understood where exactly are the cogs stuck and how to get them rolling. Right. And most importantly, I think what we have understood is that NEP 2020 is definitely a much needed and a much appreciated step. While nothing can be ever 100% sure and absolute in its aspect, but we definitely believe that perfection is a process and not a journey, and that is exactly the NEP 2020 is going to cater to in the 21st century. The 21st century students are going to need 21st century teachers and principals and counselors, and that's how we are going to get them ready. And NEP 2020 is something that we are all going to abide by in our schools, and I am pretty sure that all of our viewers today have gained a lot of ideas, a lot of insights into how this is actually going to be executed and implemented, and what are the key areas where the benefits will be observed quickly, and then some may take some time, but we'll get there for sure. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll hand over the screen to Sandeep Gulati.
Thank you
Sir,
so much, ma'am.
can
And
we?
I
Yes.
think it was such a wonderful session. But before I let everyone go away, I just want to, this is such a tremendous session where we are talking about national education policy, covering the holistic 360 view, whether it is skill development, whether it is, counseling sessions, the future of students, everything rolled in one. So before I let all these amazing, principal of the years, go away with such an experience, I would like to ask each and every one of you two things that you would implement the first step as a first step in the school when you're talking about the national education policy. Starting with Virat sir, what are the first two things that you're looking
So
to
basically, I
have?
belongs to yeah, sir. Yeah, yeah. Basically, polytechnic education starts as a 10th education right now. I don't know what will be the scenario in national education policy, because nowhere, if you go through the document of national education policy, only once polytechnic word is written, and it says that you have to do the collaboration with schools for the vocational education. So we will play an important role, and our role is to the concept of school complex is coming up, where the local schools requirement of vocational education will be catered by ITIs and polytechnic. So looking forward for this change. I hope new things will come up, new challenges are coming up in our system, as we are belonging to the polytechnic system. Almost around more than 3,000 polytechnics are there, and hope in new national education policy, we will be the main player, as national education policy says that skills, and we are the one who are best in imparting skills to the student, and we will play an
Absolutely.
important role in giving skills to the student from 6 to 12. I don't know what policymakers will do with us, but we are waiting for positive thoughts from the policymaker, and we hope the polytechnic education and ITI education will play a crucial role in imparting skills to the students.
Wonderful, sir. Mr. Vipin, what are the first two things that you will implement in the school from national education policy?
Sir, we have already implemented FLN for the primary classes from class 1 to 3. And we have also implemented CBL. And we have implemented the vocational classes for the student from class 6 to 12. So that's why we have to implement each and everything. We will not leave anything, because if we will not implement, then it will not be affected for the all government institution. That's why we have to implement all the parts of the NEP for the schools. So we are implementing, and we are just moving ahead for this one, and we hope that in the next 2 years we will implement all the points which are raised by the NEP 2020.
Wonderful, sir. Anju ma'am,
Yeah,
what
I
are the
think we have already started implementing. Basic thing is the teachers training, and not to forget the 360-degree holistic development, which is very, very important. That progress card that is going to come up, it will be really amazing, covering each and every aspect. Though, this has actually been implemented, at the time of CCE. Though that was an eye wash, but I'm sure, this is really going to work well. And practically, we will be seeing that some kind of change is going to come in the students. We'll be able to create the better citizens. And skill education, there's no doubt about it. Vocational education is certainly going to be there. So there are lots of things which have to be taken care of, and most of the things have already been implemented. So we need to create the pedagogical leaders. That also is equally important. So I would say that we
one
all have to contribute, we all have to come forward and see the change.
wonderful, ma'am? Dr. Suchitra, what are the two
Ye-
things that you will implement the first when it comes down to national education policy?
I would say, I would mention once again, as ma'am also said, before NEP came in, many things that have been mentioned in the NEP have already been started with these progressive schools, oblique in the most of the schools. However, what I like the most is, and what I would stress on, is the assessment of the teachers. The teachers will have to upgrade, or else we are not going to do justice with the 21st century children. And only documentation will not be enough, as all my fellow panelists said. It is we, let us be the change makers, let us try, because this policy has been put after discussion with so many educators. Therefore we have a responsibility to ensure that we follow everything, and amongst them teacher education, and of course, which is very close to my heart, is the special need children. I really feel so good whenever I get such a child, and I am very, very confident that all of us, if we take care, our country will be very, very progressive. Thank you.
Absolutely, ma'am. And in fact, one of our key topics of discussion with talking education will be focusing on special education children. That will be coming on the weeks to come by. Thank you so much for this amazing panel. I would like to thank Virat sir, Vipin sir, Suchitra ma'am, Namrata ma'am for such amazing responses to some amazing questions put by Ms. Namrata from Brain Wonders. I would like to thank Brain Wonders for supporting the initiative of Universal Mentors Association's Talking Education Talk Ed series, where we'll bring you some amazing educators across the country participating in this amazing series, which will be bringing on every week, especially highlighting the principal of the year who would be honored on 8th of July at the Holiday Inn, New Delhi, Aero City. So hope to see you all there. Hope to witness you all there, and we would love to welcome you at our flagship event, Principal of the Year, on 8th of July. Uh,
Thank you.
with this, it brings us to the close of the fifth TalkEd initiative, uh, TalkEd series. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll be coming up with another wonderful panel, some amazing principles, some amazing discussions. Till then, stay tuned. Have a great one. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.